Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave, episode 43. For today's episode, I have another card game that I want to show. Again, this is also based off a video game, and that video game is SimCity. SimCity, my first actual exposure to the game was back in the old PC days, where I got it. I was probably using like a 386 or 486 or one of those, those older PCs. And I really was fascinated by the SimCity game, and I didn't have any other system that could play it. So I ended up picking up that one, and I really enjoyed it. I really had a lot of fun creating the cities and adding the power plants. I always found, though, my only problem with the game is once you sort of built up everything and everything's kind of running, you don't know really what to do at that point. It just things are just continuously happening, right? I know there's some options where you can like send in Godzilla or something to destroy the city, or you can add more crime to it or something. But it's a fun game nonetheless. I ended up actually picking it up on, I think the Super Nintendo or the Nintendo 64. I can't remember. I know I have it also on one of those systems. Again, it's an okay game. But this one is the card game, and probably a lot of people didn't even realize that this ever came out. Here's the box. I actually ordered a while back. I bought this online, a brand new box, because I did see them in the stores. Like, I seen the booster packs in the stores, and I looked it up online. I was very curious about the game, and surprisingly, I guess I found a store that was just unloading these at really cheap. Like, it was like $10 for the box, and I just bought it. Learning the rules was the hard part, and I ended up printing off something off their website and stuff. And because really, when you buy them, like you can buy them in these starter decks like this. And if you've ever played any other card games like Magic or anything, they typically came in these types of starter decks. And inside, you'd open it up, and there would be your deck. Or not the deck, but I mean just a random smattering of cards, or it could be a deck if it was sold that way, and the little rule book. So reading these little rule books, it's not always easy. I mean, the font on these things is like probably like a 7 or an 8 or something like that. Anyways, I was just reading this over again because it's been a while since I've actually looked into this game. I don't think I've actually successfully played a game. I've tried it by myself, and I was really confused. But I've been looking it over again. I mean, I think I was overthinking it. But anyways, just to kind of give you an idea how this game works, it's actually kind of interesting. You have your standard, what they call city block pieces, which look like this. So over here, you have a railroad, and then you have a standard road that you drive on, like your cars. And then you got these power lines. And then down here, you have your stats. And they all mean something different. Just throw that in there. They all mean something different. So, I mean, on this one, there's a dollar sign. I think all of them have a dollar sign. That's how much you get when you play the card. So you play it to the table. You get that much money in your bank account, I guess. This one has a picture of 2 Sims beside it, and a number, which means that if you want to play this card, you have to connect it to a card that has the ability to bring in that many people. And by that, it means if there's a road that connects from a couple of other cards, like a continuous road, and you can bring all those people to this card, you can play this card. Kind of a neat idea. I like it. There's a gun, and that means crime. So every time you play more city blocks, your crime increases. Neat. And then there's a pollution mark right there. That's that little plutonium symbol. Again, that's pollution. So as you build, you pollute. And so what it really means is it can have negative consequences on some of the cards in the game. Outside of those types of cards, I mean that most of the deck is based that way. You'll see here. Like they all got the roads and stuff, and each one has their own little text box as well. I'll just show you there to kind of give you a little bit of extra stuff going on, just so you're not just building roads. Like that would be boring, right? So you're building up your roads, you're building up your population, And so you start the game pretty much at the first phase, which is the village. So you have a village, and really simply that means, if I can find a card here, you play the very simple basic cards, which is this, plains. And I know that this is the basic one because it's got the white down there, and there's nothing else there. So you can play that. And this one actually doesn't give you any people, but it does give you $1 when you play it. So the way this game works is you only have one deck, which is unique with this game compared to most collectible card games, because this is a collectible card game where you actually build the deck yourself. Everybody uses one deck, so it's kind of like a standard playing card deck at that point. So you could have 3. It suggests having 3 or more players, and you all kind of sit around and you deal out 7 cards. Each player has 7 cards, and then the first player of the game gets to essentially start the city or village by playing a card. And then from that point on, everybody has to connect to that card. And this is where the problem with this game comes in, because you have to connect it properly. So if it's got roads, you have to connect the road to that. You can't just connect a railway to that road. Obviously, in real life, you wouldn't do it either, right? So it kind of makes it harder when you have a small amount of players, because if every one of you doesn't have anything to connect there, you're kind of not doing anything. So then you got to keep drawing cards until you can connect. Another thing is, when you're in the village stage, is you can't play cards that have the green in there, this green right there. That's for the next stage. And then it kind of moves up. So you go from like the village to the town to the city, and then eventually the metropolis. And the way to do that is you calculate how many Sims you have, which all your population, and it's really just doing some math at this point. You have to count the amount of players in the game, and then each phase has a specific number of Sims you have to reach to beat the next stage. And then you can start building up and building up. So I found when I first tried this, it was a little slow in the beginning, because a lot of the cards you can't play because they're green or they're red or whatever. They have that symbol in there that tells you can't play that card until you build up your population. So here's where more players would actually be, beneficial. I could also see this game using up a lot of table space because, I think there's probably like 60 cards. I didn't count it, but your standard deck is going to be about 55, 60 cards. And you also have these counselor cards, which sit on the sidelines. And each player can purchase the top one. I guess you play it face up like this in a deck. It's got a cost to it. And they all have different effects and, different event cards, which is the other part I wanted to show you here. Like we have these event cards, which don't actually... I'm just trying to find one here. Things like this. You don't actually connect it to the city. It's just something you play instead of a city block. And it changes things like the weather, or it can wreck a city block, or it causes more crime or pollution or something. Or based on what you have already, you can gain money. And ultimately, that's the goal of the game, is money. The first player to hit $250 wins the game. And of course you get those by playing the cards. So the more properties you play, the more you score the points. One other thing that this game has that I've never seen in any other card game yet, and that's these really long cards. Whoa, that's upside down. These really long cards. I'll just show you the difference here. It's about a card and a half. And the way these work is you're supposed to play them with your city blocks like this. So on the table, if I can just show you, essentially it would be laid out like this. And I think they call these mega city parts or something like that. You really can only play them in the later stages of the game. It's got its own separate deck, so you'd have to draw from that deck. Kind of interesting, kind of weird at the same time, because you have a hand like this now. So I don't know what the meaning was for these, but it was interesting nonetheless. And you get them in the booster packs. That was where these came in. These are how the booster packs were sold. Like, they're really big, because each one came with one of these. So simply buying the starter deck's not going to get you those. that being said, this game is probably a long time out of print. You could probably find them if you dig through eBay or I don't know, get lucky and find a warehouse that didn't clear them out yet. But nonetheless, it's an interesting game. If you like SimCity, if you're into like building games, I wouldn't say it's going to be a collectible card game as much as just get yourself one deck that you can play and try the game, because well, you can't buy the booster packs anymore, so you'd have to like buy them by the box, and that would be this thing if you can find it. I'd be interesting to know if anybody actually does, if they're curious and they actually do find these, let me know, because I haven't seen this in a long time, and I've had this on my shelf for a long time. I bought this like years and years and years ago, so I'd be interested to know if people still remember this game, or if they if there's places on eBay or wherever still selling the game. Anyways, yeah, I just wanted to show you this because I think it's cool. I got a lot of card games, like I said before, and some of them are based on video games, so I thought I'd show this one off. It's really cool. Anyways, hope you liked the video. Let me know what you think, if you've heard of this, or if you've found these in a store recently, and or if you always were curious about it and just wanted to know about it. It's a fun game. The rules are a little complicated. There's a lot you can do in it, but I mean, it's fun. Hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later.